Hi, Analisa Six here with the Sober Curator and the Lady of Leisure to bring you the March 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Pisces for Sun and Rising placements. It's March, it's Pisces season. Happy birthday to all of the Pisces people. Today's actually my grandma's birthday. She passed away in 2019. Yep, 2019, right before the dreaded year of 2020. On Thanksgiving, and her birthday was March 6th, and she is an amazing person. So happy birthday to my grandma Donna today. But Pisces, we're here to celebrate you. So happy birthday to all of our March Pisces. So we have a lot of energy in Pisces right now. You are lit up. It's all about you. It really is. All of us are living in your shadow basically right now. We have the sun in Pisces, we have Saturn in Pisces, we have Mercury in Pisces, and we have Neptune in Pisces starting out March. The area of the horoscope that this hits for you is the first house, which is the house of identity. It's the house that represents your relationship to self and what yourself means to yourself. It's not who you are to other people. It's not how you're operating in the world or how you're putting yourself out there to other people. It's really how you are relating to self internally. So having Saturn here, Saturn can be, Saturn in the first house can lend itself to feeling hypercritical of the self. So if you feel like you're feeling like you need to do better or evolve in some way, Saturn here can kind of create that feeling. Saturn on the sun can also create a feeling of depression or isolation. So if you've been feeling more prone to those things, those tendencies, that's there. Mercury here, there's an opportunity for a lot of self-reflection and existential thoughts. What am I doing? Why am I here? What does it all mean? Tends to be more of a Sagittarius issue in terms of the asking the questions, but Pisces also has a lot of those existential questions. Pisces desires a lot to reunify with source energy, and so there's people that lack Pisces energy or even Sagittarius energy don't understand a lot of times what Pisces dominant people go through when it comes to suicidal ideation. For some people, suicidal ideation is this really dark, negative thing. But for some people, especially Pisces people, suicidal ideation actually isn't a negative feeling. It's not a dark feeling. It's dark, but not in the way that most people see it. They see it, I say we because I have Pisces moon. I'm projecting and relating a lot to this, but I know a lot of other Pisces people who feel this way, especially Pisces moon people. But the idea of returning to source is not a negative thing. It's almost like a relief, like a return to universal love, universal consciousness, and this kind of feeling of acceptance and feeling of wholeness. And a lot of Pisces dominant people, when they're in a physical form, feel removed or fragmented from that need to feel that universal love. That's where the what's the word? Fallacy, maybe. The mistake is that even if we're trapped in this physical form, we are always still connected to that universal love and that universal consciousness. And just doing a meditation and just sound bath, something like that, can get us back into that space if we are starting to feel the weight or the heaviness of the material experience. Saturn rules the material experience in many ways. It's the ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius, and in Capricorn, there's a lot of this. It's dense. There's like this, like being in a physical body is very heavy. It's very dense, and Pisces wants to feel freedom from that density. I think one of the things that has happened for me in terms of trying to embrace Saturn more is that I'm really good at disassociating from my body in certain situations. Like when I get tattooed or pierced, there's something I can do in my brain where I'm just like, I don't feel it. I'm disassociated. It's great. But when I started having a lot of pain in my body as I got older, and I have an injury and I have some health problems that flare my body up, and I get like chronic pain in my legs and in my shoulders. That's a pain that's really hard for me to disassociate from. And it made me just feel like really dense in my body, and it just made me want to escape my body. It's just like, I don't want to feel this way. And so practices like Qigong, where you're channeling chi throughout the body and kind of cleansing out certain things in your body, have been really helpful for me. Like Tai Chi, that kind of stuff is focused on that. It's just interesting. Like, it's an interesting thing to explore, but you kind of having so much of this energy pulling you into yourself, these are things that you might be kind of thinking about. What's your relationship to spirituality? How does that impact your identity? How does that impact the way that you feel about yourself in your makeup? Not just your physical body, but like even in your mind, and just yourself. Your selfness is highlighted quite a bit. The other thing that we have starting out the month of March for Pisces is Venus and Mars are dancing together in Aquarius at the beginning of the month. And the area that this is impacting is the 12th house, which is the house that Pisces traditionally rules. But, in the horoscope, we have Aquarius here. And Mars passing through here actually does symbolize that there's some repressed anger or repressed trauma that needs to be worked out, needs to be healed. Venus wants to come through and help heal that. Venus wants us to connect to that ethereal realm in a positive way. And, those of us that are in recovery, we run the risk of relapsing when a lot of these transits are happening, because we might feel so weighed down by mundane reality and by the struggle and the challenges or the past traumas, that it would be really easy for us to just be like, I want to drink this away, or I want to experience this and, get away from the heaviness of it all through alcohol or substances. So there is a lot of that energy in the air for all of us, where we all kind of can run the risk of relapse right now. But it's especially prominent for Pisces dominant people, just with how much is going on. This is also a really positive time to do dream work, to connect to yourself in a creative way. Things like transcendental meditation could be really positive. Dream journaling, those types of things. Pluto just entered this area of the birth chart, of the horoscope chart for Pisces too, and Pluto's going to be here for the next 20 years. So for all Pisces people, you are going through a very deep karmic transformational period that started in January. We could argue and say that it was starting to start last year, because Pluto was starting to do the dance on the cusp of the 11th and 12th house, but it officially moved in to the 12th house of the horoscope chart for you. Starting in January. So big changes happening under the surface, and it's important that you find an anchor, because there's not a lot anchoring us right now. The other thing that we have going on is the North Node conjunct Chiron in Aries. And that conjunction we're going to be feeling for a pretty good amount of the month. And the area that this is hitting for you, Pisces, is the area that has to do with financial stability, how we make money, and also our self-worth. And so, wounds around that, wounds around our self-worth, wounds around money, scarcity mindset, those types of things. You're working through trying to build more confidence around your ability to provide for yourself. And your self-worth, like, what are you worthy of? How do you feel confident about that in life? How you move through life. So that's a big theme. March 9th, we're going to have Mercury entering the second house in Aries. And so again, this is a really positive time for you to learn more about money management, and also working on your confidence when it comes to self-worth issues. March 10th, we're going to have a new moon in your sign at 20 degrees of Pisces, and this is hitting the identity house, the first house. And so this is also really positive in terms of setting intentions around who you want to be, not just who you want to be in the world, but who do you want to be to yourself? And how do you build confidence and self-love and self-acceptance, moving forward in life? 2 days later, we're going to have Venus leaving that 12th house and leaving Aquarius and entering the first house of Pisces. And she's going to be here for the rest of the month. This is great for building confidence and doing, self-love practices, and really focusing on the self, focusing on what you need in a positive way. And Venus is exalted here. She does really well in Pisces. On March 19th, we're going to have the sun entering Aries, and this is going to bring a bunch of energy and life into your financial house. So financial planning, meeting with a financial advisor, getting your ducks in a row in that way is really constructive for Pisces for the remainder of the month. And Mercury, we're going to have Mercury in Aries until May, because Mercury is going to station retrograde on April 1st. And so you are going to have some challenges with money. And so it is really good for you to get a head start on taxes, anything like that. Get a head start on taxes. That's what I have to say. Make sure that your money management is good right now. Mars is going to be entering Pisces on the 23rd, and it's going to be entering that first house placement again. We might be working through some repressed anger. We might be working through and kind of figuring out what we want and how do we go for it. How do we direct our will in a way that's empowering and strong moving forward? So that's a big theme for the remainder of March. March 25th, we're going to have a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra. So the moon is going to be in the opposite place of this Aries energy, which is the area that has to do with shared resources, sex, death, taxes. All of this stuff is going to get brought to the surface and highlighted around March 25th. And so again, if there's things that you need to be getting in order for, if you have an accountant and you need to be getting stuff in order for that, sending things to them, get on it, because Mercury retrograde might bring up some stuff that you weren't expecting. If you're dealing with an inheritance, if you're dealing with, debts or loans, like all of this type of stuff, it's really positive for you to create a plan around it and just make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row, because eclipse energy, brings stuff to the surface, and then it kind of is a catalyst for what's happening over the next 6 months. So, bookkeeping and just, making sure that you have certain things kind of figured out prior to this eclipse is good, especially prior to the Mercury retrograde shadow, which is, kind of starting more around the 20th, when we enter Aries season. So those are all things to kind of keep an eye on. Your money is a big theme right now for the month of March, and also your self-worth, self-concept, your relationship to how you process yourself internally and spiritually. Those are all the major themes for you for the month of March. Not a lot of grounding energy this month. We're all, running the risk of feeling emotional and reactive, and things might be feeling like they're moving kind of quickly and too quickly towards the end of the month. So that's something that you might just want to kind of keep in mind. And I highly recommend, if you don't have financial advisement and you have a lot of moving parts, this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about how to manage your money, get some advice on that, and just have fun with it. Like, a lot of that stuff is really daunting. I know for me, when I talk about financial advisement and taxes and stuff like that, I not as much now, but I used to get this like really bad ping of anxiety, because it's just like the way that we're raised in our culture is to fear that stuff or stress out about it. And so like building credit and, dealing with money, like it's stressful, making money, managing money, it's stressful, but having money is great, and so I know, like, when I'm talking about that stuff, I get kind of this like underlying anxiety, but it's not as bad as it used to be, because, I've done my own taxes for a long time, and I kind of went through this period where I was just like, this isn't that hard. Like, it's not. If you lean into it and you just learn about it, it becomes less scary, and I've been self-employed for a long time. I've managed other people's businesses. I've managed my own businesses. I've started businesses, closed businesses, and it's all really daunting and stressful, but it's not like impossible. It sucks, like going through like I'm going through a hard financial time right now, and it sucks, but I've always gotten through it, and the pandemic, I think, was a really good example. Like, that was probably some of the hardest financial times I've ever been through. Got through it, going through another really hard financial time. I have to have faith that I'm going to get through it at some point, so I think that getting help and asking for advice and, being open to leaning into those things when we're going through these transits is really important. Don't procrastinate, don't avoid it. The Mercury retrograde is going to bite you in the butt if you do that. So just try to see, what can you do now to get in front of that stuff. If you would like a personal one-on-one reading with me, I'm offering readings via Zoom or the phone, and you can book with me by emailing me at analisa6@ladyofleosure.com. You can find me at ladyofleosure.com and thesobercurator.com. All right, Pisces, good luck, happy birthday, and I will see you guys in April.